Welcome to SuicideFantasyFootball.com. We're here with former Pro Bowl linebacker for the Eagles and the Raiders. Although I hate to say Raiders because I'm an Eagles fan. Willie T, William Thomas. How you doing today, Willie?
I'm doing good. How about you, man?
Good, man. Glad to have you involved. Thanks for letting us do this today. So you played Suicide Fantasy Football last year. What was it like your first year playing?
Man, I was a king, and you know it. Somebody shysted me that game somehow, some way. Daggone. What's his name? Peterson got me in the end.
Yeah.
Man. Getting all those points all season and then decided to sit out the time I started.
And you saved them. You did very well. I know
saved them to the end.
As most people use their studs early, it seemed like your strategy was to kind of hold on to those guys till they were maybe at the right time instead of using them right away. Is that correct?
Yeah, because I was looking at it as, guys like Peyton and those guys are like, they're going to get points.
They're a no-brainer.
Right. All right, if I can hold out on those guys to the end, then it's going to be good for me in the end. But it didn't happen that way with Peterson.
And now I got to say, in the beginning, that strategy wasn't working too well because I remember the Steelers quarterback. Who was it that you went with early?
Oh, was it
Dixon?
Dixon.
You put Dixon in there.
I started Dixon and the Wallace at the same time.
Right.
Mike Wallace?
Yep, Mike Wallace.
I started both of those guys, and I'm like, man, these guys at least do something. Because I knew that he had to throw the ball to Wallace, and I thought he would be athletic enough to run a touchdown or so, but didn't happen.
And he had a couple of big weeks, but that's the beauty of Suicide Fantasy Football. You know you're going to use Mike Wallace, but the week that you used him, he didn't do much, where there was other weeks that he put up probably 30-plus points.
Yeah,
so
that's the way it works.
So do you think your strategy is going to change a little bit going into this year?
No, I'm still going to stick with it because, I actually did pretty good towards the end last year, and I came back in the end. But
you did. What was the biggest mistake you made last year? I think I know the answer to this.
The biggest mistake, it's like the Adrian Peterson thing.
I also think you took the advice of someone that kind of screwed you up towards the end of the year.
Yeah, you did it, man.
But I remember.
You told me I need to start somebody.
Who was it? I think I told you to put Sean Green in there.
Yeah, and didn't get no
points whatsoever. I felt bad.
He thought he was going to play that game, and they didn't play him. Something like that. But I was like, Will, you got to use. Here's your week to use this guy, and he got you nothing. You had to remind me of that.
I know.
I had a blast though, and looking forward to start it up again. I think I want to have my son Zion in it because he's like he's like a fantasy sport nut.
All right,
he'll love to do it.
Willie T getting the family involved in Suicide Fantasy Football. Very cool. All right, so being a scout question for you: who are the rookie running backs that you think might have a chance at helping out and being on your roster at 1 week this year in Suicide Fantasy Football?
I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna keep a close eye on my on the guy we drafted out there at the Raiders. I forgot the guy out of Eastern Washington.
Yeah.
That guy's super fast, and I saw him on tape. He's a monster.
You think he might take some carries from Michael Bush?
Sometimes, then I'll just see how it goes. But if he gets in there...
that's a guy. That's one of those guys that towards the end of the year when you're looking... Because, quarterbacks, you only got to pick 17 of them. Right. But running backs, when you're down to those last weeks and you're to like your 30th and 31st running backs, having a guy like that on your bench who might come in for a week...
Yeah. The running backs, I think,
the hardest part.
Yeah, because you can't sit there and start all the guys up front because then you're dealing with trash in the end. You don't want that. So.
Yep.
But I tried to wait. I did Chris Johnson kind of quarter way through and tried to save Adrian towards the end.
I was surprised. I remember looking at who I had left at week 10 compared to who you had left. Yeah. And I had used almost everybody, and you still had the top three at almost every position that was left.
Yeah, so I tried to try to listen to the advice that you first gave me. Just, you don't want to start everybody.
Right.
And so I'm like, well, somebody, if you're watching the games close enough, you can get some starters in there to get some points.
Yep. All right, so now I got a regular football question for you. Asamoah, the Eagles. I'm an Eagles fan. So Asamoah is the guy that we're looking at, the guy that every person who's looking for a free agent wants to have on their roster. How much of a game changer is a guy like Asamoah?
Well, he's so long and so tall as a corner, and he can run, and he moves very well. He's a guy. He's a staple on your defense. That that if they throw his way, something's going to happen against the offense opposed to something for the offense.
But do you think that a lot of his success was because they're, on the Raiders, you could just not throw at Asamoah, where if you put him on the same field as Asante Samuel, do you think people might go after Asamoah a little bit more than they did when he was in the Raiders backfield?
Well, the thing is, they're gonna try both of them. It's a matter of like, okay, who can we work on? They might put some guys in the slot to try to change it up and get some slot action that way. But if you have two on the same team, then it's going to be very tough for any team to sit there and single anyone out.
I hope it happens. I don't see us going that far and getting an Ike Taylor or an Asamoah, but I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
And not that I want to take him from the Raiders. Willie still scouts for the Raiders, so not that I want to take him and deplete your team, but would love to see him in green. So.
Well, he's going to make his own decision, and that's going to be basically up to him.
Yep.
We'd love to see him out there in the black and silver again, but you know how things work.
Yep. All right, well, listen, Willie, really proud to have you as a part of Suicide Fantasy Football. Appreciate you taking some time to let people know who haven't played really how cool it is to play a game where you're picking new players every week. Your roster changes every week, and you got to look at matchups in a way that you don't have to in traditional fantasy football.
That's true.
So thanks again for being involved. And you will see
Willie
T back this year, not listening to me.
I'm going to win it.
And winning this year. Signing out, suicidefantasyfootball.com.